day 4 of the biannual Bibliothon, in which I am your host. Today's challenge is going to be the creative book review, which is very different. It's something we have not done before, but basically all we're asking you to do is to review a book and do it in a creative way. So you could pretty much do anything with this challenge. You could bake, you could paint, you could do whatever you want to. And today I chose to bake with you guys while I talk about one of my favorite books of all time. So the book I'm going to be reviewing for you today is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, which I know probably everybody ever on BookTube has already heard of this book and knows how people feel about it, but this is one of my favorite series of all time. And I feel like if I'm going to do a creative book review, I need to talk to y'all about Harry Potter, because I have never done a review for Harry Potter on my channel ever, and it's one of my favorite books, period, ever. So I wanted to talk to you about this book today, and while I'm talking to you about this book, I'm also going to be baking cauldron cakes and teaching you how to make them yourself if you want to. So I'm really excited. Let's jump into the video. So before we get into the review portion of the video, I just want to tell you all the things that you need in order to make your own cauldron cakes. The first thing you're going to need is cake mix. So chocolate cake mix preferably, because you want your cauldrons to be a black or a brown color so that they look like they're supposed to be cauldrons. So you can use devil's food cake, you can use dark chocolate cake, regular chocolate cake. I've already actually done this portion because I feel like everybody can read a box and know how to make a cake and turn it into cupcakes. So these are what my little cupcakes look like, which is what you want yours to look like. You want them to be rounded on the top, because this top part is actually going to be the bottom of your cauldron. So you just want to go ahead and make your cake however they say to make them on the back of the cake box. You want to do them in a cupcake tin instead of doing them in a cake tin. Then you're also going to need some form of chocolate icing. Again, you want it to be a brown or black color. So I just have regular chocolate icing, and I put it in a Ziploc bag so that I can actually use this to squirt it out onto the cupcakes. Secret, if you don't want to have to buy piping bags, you can literally just use a regular Ziploc bag and it works just fine. You also are going to need some kind of colored icing. What that is, I took cream cheese icing and I took some blue food coloring and I just added that to it, because this is going to be the potion that's going in your cauldron. So you can use pretty much any color you want. I have a variety of different colors, but I decided I'm just going to stick to using one color for this video and use blue. You also are going to want some chocolate chips, preferably a little bit on the bigger side, because these are going to be the pegs for your cauldron. And then you're going to want some melted almond bark chocolate. So you can actually buy this at Walmart. It's just like a big bark of chocolate, and then you melt it in the microwave. Make sure you don't burn it. You can do this over the stove, but I prefer the microwave. And those are all the things you need to make your cupcake. So the first thing you want to do is take one of your cupcakes and you're going to actually flip it over, and I take a straw to do this. You could use a spoon if you want to, but you're going to actually carve out the middle of the cupcake so that you can put something inside of it. So I'm just going to do that now. So Harry Potter is basically about a boy named Harry who was orphaned when he was a baby, and so now he is living with his aunt, uncle, and cousin who he hates. They hate him. They don't get along. They make him live in a cupboard under the staircase. It's terrible. He hates his life pretty much. And so when he turns 11 years old, he actually gets a letter in the mail from the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and he finds out that his parents were actually killed by one of the most evil wizards of all time, and he was kind of put in his aunt and uncle's house to get him away from the magical world, but he actually is a wizard as well. And so when he turns 11, he is now accepted into this magical school to learn how to be a wizard, and that is where he goes. He gets to get out of his aunt and uncle's house. Once he goes to the school, he meets friends that he pretty much stays with through the entire series, because if you did not know, this is a 7-book series and there's 8 movies to go along with these books. But he goes to school, meets all of these friends, he has all of these different adventures in every single book, and usually every single book the adventure deals with something with the dark wizard that killed his parents. And so it is just this very epically fantastical, magical series that I absolutely love. So now back to the cupcakes. After you have a hole in your cupcake, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to dip your cupcake into your chocolate. And you want to go ahead and have 3 little chocolate chips sitting on your plate, because once you pull your cupcake out of the dip, you're actually going to sit your cupcake on these chocolate chips. So there's going to be 3, in the shape of a triangle, and you're just going to sit it directly in the center of that triangle, and those are going to be your pegs for your cauldron. You're just going to pull it out, and you're only going to dip the bottom of the cake into the chocolate just like this, and you're going to let it harden for just a second, and then you are going to sit it on top of your chocolate chips. So now that I've actually told you what Harry Potter is about, let me tell you why it is one of my favorite series of all times, which I feel like most of you probably have read it and already know. But first of all, the characters that she wrote. Harry is one of my favorite character perspectives that I've ever read from. I feel like it's weird because usually I don't like to read from a male's perspective, but with Harry, I never had an issue with that at all. I just love his perspective. I think he is a very awesome character. He's very brave, and he's kind of your typical, he is what gives that idea of the chosen one its name. I feel like that's kind of where it all came from, is Harry. But he's just the perfect male lead to read from. And then you have his best friends Hermione, you have Ron, and they all have these different personalities that work perfectly together and just make this a very well-rounded book with characters. Not to mention, you have a ton of other characters that come into play throughout the entire series, and they're just very well developed, they're very well written, and that is definitely one of the things that I love about the series. So the next thing that you're going to want to do with your cupcakes is you want to take your chocolate icing, and you are actually going to take, this is one that I haven't actually completed yet, but you're going to take your chocolate icing and put it right around the edge where the hole is going to be. So just line it right around the edge where the hole is. And what you do with your piping bag, once you have it in your Ziploc bag, you're just going to cut this end off of it. And once you cut that end off, you'll have a perfect little hole to pipe on your icing. So the next thing that I really love about this series is just the magical feel that you have when you're reading it. Like, I feel like this is one of the best series you could read if you want to read a book in which you're going to get just completely lost in the world, because when you're reading this series, especially if you're binge reading it and you're planning on reading all of them back to back, you are so just completely absorbed into this world, and it's one of those things where you can't think of anything else. I remember growing up, when I was reading this series, I would go and get one book, like I would get the newest book that was releasing, and I would lock myself in my room and I would not stop reading it until I was completely finished with it, because you just lose yourself into this magical world. It's literally one of those worlds where all you want to do is just be part of that world. You want to have that magic that Harry Potter brings out in everybody, and that is definitely one of my favorite parts about the story, is you just have this magical world that you want to be a part of. I feel like anytime there's tag videos in which people say, what world would you want to be part of if you were part of a book world, everybody always answers Harry Potter, because it is one of the best fictional worlds out there. So after you do your chocolate icing on the rim, you're going to want to take your blue icing and you are going to cut the end off of that, and you're just going to pipe that right into the center of the hole that you made on each of your cupcakes, and that is going to be your potion. And of course, another thing that I absolutely love about the series is the plot that goes along with it. The plot is so well thought out and just developed very well, and she does a good job of bringing things from past books into new books, and everything just interweaves perfectly together. That's something that I feel like, again, just makes it very addictive and a series that you can't stop reading once you start it. I love everything about the way that she wrote out her story and developed the plot. It just made it so intriguing and fun to read. Okay, to just kind of wrap up the review of Harry Potter, if you are interested in finding a series that is full of adventure, full of really fun, well-developed characters, this magical world with these magical creatures and people and all of these different spells, things like that, and you pretty much have a purpose for the whole series of Harry going against this dark wizard who killed his parents, you definitely want to read this series. I feel like a lot of people have read it, but there are still some people who just didn't read it growing up and haven't gotten to have that experience. And I'm telling you, if you want to find a series in which you lose yourself into that world immediately, this is the series for you. This was one of my favorite series growing up, still one of my favorite series of all time, and I promise that you will probably love it just as much as I did if you read it. And with that being said, that is also all you have to do to make your cauldron cakes. They are super easy. You can make these for little parties. If you have a Harry Potter party, you can make one of these cauldron cakes, and they're just really fun, and I promise you they're delicious. And rather than holding up the cake for you, I'm gonna just and start a clip of what these cupcakes look like when they are completely finished. And I will also give you a link for the recipe down below because I actually found this recipe online. I'll link that down below if you want to have a recipe that is a little bit easier to follow when you're making them for yourself. So check the description box for that. But yeah, that is really all I have for this video. Go read Harry Potter if you have not already. Just do it. You know you want to. It's fantastic. And that does it for your host video for the biannual Bibliothon day number 4. Keep pushing through, guys. You are doing amazing. Your video challenges have been incredible. I've loved watching them, and I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with for this video challenge. And as per usual with these challenge videos, if you're interested in entering to win a book, then you're going to want to comment the link to your video challenge in the comments under this video. So make sure that you do that, because if you win, you will be getting a copy of The Diviners by Libra Bray, which, guys, is honestly one of my other favorite books of all time. So if you have not read this, don't have a copy of this book, you definitely want to jump in on this bandwagon because this book is absolutely fantastic as well. So thank you so much for joining me in today's host video. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow because we will have Emma doing the missing scene challenge. And that is something you're probably not going to want to miss. So we will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!